Amid today's Supreme Court ruling, new data suggests the Omicron variant makes vaccine mandates obsolete and unnecessary. One America's chief White House correspondent, Chanel Rion, has more from Washington.
Phil Kerpen, President of American Commitment, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
You issued a very, very fascinating amicus brief before the Supreme Court this week, and your fundamental argument against vaccine mandates is that vaccine mandates, considering the science behind current vaccines, are irrelevant.
The point of our brief was to inform the court on how much the factual situation has changed with the Omicron variant taking over, and it's totally dominant now. The CDC data has it, up over 95% of all new cases being Omicron, and we know two things about it that I think make the mandates a complete non-starter, and that's the argument. Those are the arguments we make in this brief. The first is that it is much, much milder than previous variants. It's about an order of magnitude more mild, and remember we were always saying COVID's about 10 times worse than the flu, 10 times more dangerous.
Sure. Well,
if Omicron is 10 times less dangerous than the previous variants, it's right in the same range. You can no longer say, with Omicron and the data we have now from all countries all over the world, that it reduces your risk of getting the virus and transmitting it to others. In fact, it seems to have no effect on that at all, and in some studies it seems to actually have a reverse effect. People who are vaccinated seem more likely to get the virus than people that are unvaccinated.
Kerpen bases this statement off two major studies out of Denmark and Canada. The Danish study found that vaccinated were more likely than the unvaccinated to catch Omicron after 3 months. An Ontario study also found vaccines had a negative efficacy against the Omicron strain after just 60 days. Kerpen says another stunning study from Germany further renders Biden's OSHA vaccine mandate irrelevant. A German study found nearly 80% of positive Omicron cases were in those who were vaccinated, further suggesting the vaccines don't prevent transmission of Omicron, the now dominant strain of COVID.
I think some of the Supreme Court justices are suffering from severe misinformation, and it likely came from mainstream media sources. When Sotomayor says, for instance, that Omicron is deadlier than Delta, that is literally misinformation. There is no piece of data you could point to from anywhere in the world to support that claim. Some of the other things she said about 100,000 children in the hospital when it's between 3,000 and 4,000, and probably more than half of them are just there for some other reason. And so she's just wildly disconnected from the hard data.